I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything, where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims.
The number one most common baby name in England is Muhammad. This is not immigration, this is invasion.
A brave British woman has sounded the alarm on the rapid transformation of the UK, calling the growing Muslim influence an invasion, not migration. Her warnings highlight startling trends: multiple Muslim mayors in London, over 85 Sharia courts operating nationwide, and mosques sprouting faster than churches. She warns, "We must stop this from happening because Britain is a Christian country."
The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is a Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim. All of this was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England, and there are more than 50 Sharia councils. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation. 63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. State-supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodation. Every school in the UK is required to teach about Islam. The number one most common baby name in England is Muhammad. This is not immigration, this is invasion.
Make your opinion count by liking this video and promoting it for more awareness. Also share and subscribe to our channel for upcoming updates. Let's challenge the narrative together. The facts she presents are difficult to ignore. London, once the unquestioned capital of British culture and identity, now has multiple Muslim mayors governing its boroughs.
In United Kingdom, more than 500 Christian churches have closed. And those more than 500 churches, the Muslims have bought them, and now they are Muslim places of worship, masjid. So which used to be Christian churches, Christian holy places, they are now Muslim places of worship, masjids. So this is the reality. While the number of Christians is going down, the number of Muslims is going up all the time.
These are not merely figureheads, but influential policymakers who increasingly shape the daily lives of millions. Meanwhile, across the nation, the number of Sharia courts has grown to more than 85, operating as parallel legal systems that often issue rulings fundamentally at odds with British laws, particularly regarding women's rights and equality. Perhaps most visually striking is the changing religious landscape. New mosques continue to appear across British towns and cities, many funded by foreign sources with clear Islamist agendas. Their minarets and domes alter skylines that for centuries were dominated by church spires. This architectural shift mirrors a deeper demographic reality. While many historic churches struggle to maintain congregations and face closure, mosques report overflowing attendance and demand for expansion. The numbers behind this transformation are startling. Britain's Muslim population has grown from approximately 1.5 million in 1991 to over 4 million today. Demographic projections suggest this number could triple again by 2050 if current trends continue. This growth isn't simply due to immigration, but to birth rates that dwarf those of the native British population. Muslim families average between 4 and 6 children, compared to the national average of less than 2. In some hospitals, over half of newborns now have Muslim parents. In certain primary schools, Muslim children already comprise 30% or more of the student body. These statistics raise difficult questions about the future of British society and culture. When kindergarten classrooms today predict the electorate of tomorrow, the implications for national identity become clear. Some argue this represents natural demographic change, while others see a deliberate strategy to reshape Britain through population replacement. The role of the welfare state in this transformation cannot be overlooked. Many large Muslim families receive substantial government support, meaning British taxpayers are effectively financing the very demographic changes that concern them. This creates a vicious cycle where birth rates among welfare-dependent populations remain high, while native Britons, facing economic pressures, delay or forgo having children altogether. The current Labour government's policies have accelerated these trends dramatically. Record levels of net migration, with particular emphasis on family reunification policies that disproportionately benefit Muslim communities, have transformed neighbourhoods across the country. Cultural accommodations that began as reasonable attempts at inclusion have morphed into full-scale capitulation to Islamic demands. Schools across Britain now routinely cancel Easter celebrations while enthusiastically embracing Ramadan observances. Public institutions remove pork options from menus while adding halal alternatives. Police forces increasingly enforce what amounts to blasphemy codes through expansive hate speech laws. Most shockingly, Parliament itself, a building consecrated as a Christian place of worship, has opened its doors to Islamic prayers, symbolizing the extent to which Britain's traditional identity has been compromised. Against this backdrop, a grassroots resistance movement has emerged. Across the country, ordinary Britons are taking to the streets with a simple but powerful message: we want our country back. These protesters come from all walks of life. Teachers concerned about what's being taught in schools, nurses frustrated by hospital cultural demands, and workers who no longer recognise their own neighbourhoods. They are not, as often portrayed by the media, far-right extremists, but citizens genuinely worried about the erosion of their national identity. The debate between those who welcome these changes and those who resist them often centres on definitions. Proponents of mass immigration argue this is simply Britain's latest chapter as a multicultural society, no different from previous waves of migration that ultimately enriched the nation. However, critics see fundamental differences that make the current situation unprecedented and dangerous. Historical migration to Britain typically involved groups that, however different their cultures, shared certain fundamental values with the host society. More importantly, these groups were expected to assimilate over time into the broader British identity. The current wave of Islamic migration presents a different challenge. Many adherents to conservative Islam reject core British values like gender equality, freedom of speech, and separation of religion and state. Britain stands at a defining moment in its history. The choices made in the coming years will determine whether it remains a nation rooted in its Christian heritage and democratic values or becomes something entirely different. The protesters in the streets, the citizens speaking out, are not motivated by hatred but by love for their country and its traditions. They understand what's at stake, not just particular policies or demographic trends, but the very soul of a nation. The time for polite debate has passed. The time for action has arrived. Britain must decide whether to continue down the path of cultural surrender or reassert the values that made it great. The future of British identity hangs in the balance. This is not merely a political issue, but a civilizational one that deserves open, honest discussion free from accusations of bigotry. The stakes are too high for silence or self-censorship. Britain's children deserve to inherit more than just the geographic territory of their ancestors. They deserve the cultural and spiritual heritage that made Britain a beacon of liberty for centuries. The conversation must continue, the questions must be asked, and the answers must be faced with courage and determination. What happens next will determine whether future generations live in the Britain we know today or something fundamentally and irrevocably changed. The choice is ours to make, and time is running short.